The internet died across the entire planet at the exact moment Chuck Krantz took his final breath. Massive billboards materialized on empty highways with one cryptic message: "Thanks Chuck, 39 great years." Television screens flickered with retirement ads thanking him. Airplanes wrote, "Thanks Chuck," across apocalyptic skies. Hospital monitors displayed active lifelines for beds that had been mysteriously empty for days. Sinkholes swallowed entire cities as Chuck lay dying in his hospital room. Why was reality itself collapsing because one unknown accountant was dying? What made this ordinary man so incredibly powerful that his death could completely end the world?
Seen Henry Peterson hanging from the ceiling. He'd seen his own wife.
To understand how one man became connected to the fate of the entire world, we must go back to the beginning of Chuck's extraordinary ordinary life. Young Chuck Krantz lost everything when his parents and unborn sister died in a devastating car accident. The orphan boy was sent to live with his grandparents, Albert, known as Albie, and Sarah, in their old Victorian house. The tragedy affected the entire family differently. Albie turned to alcoholism to cope with the loss, drowning his sorrows in bottles while struggling to raise his grandson. Sarah, however, found solace in music and dancing. She listened to classic tunes and inspired Chuck's love for dancing and classic musicals, teaching him new moves and sharing her passion for movement and rhythm. But there was something mysterious about the house itself. Albie strictly forbade Chuck from going upstairs to a specific room, keeping it locked and off limits. The old man claimed to have supernatural abilities. He said he could see the deaths of certain people before they actually died. He had accurately predicted the death of a neighborhood boy and a former friend, making his warnings about the forbidden room all the more ominous.
High window. And the big question, why was the room locked?
In Chuck's classroom, his teacher Ms. Richards taught him a profound quote that would shape his understanding of himself: "I contain multitudes." She explained to the young boy that people have many different things that make up their personalities, and that Chuck himself also contained multitudes. He was more complex and capable than anyone might realize. During the summer, tragedy struck the family again when Sarah passed away after falling at the supermarket. Her death sent Albie deeper into alcoholism, and he became increasingly unstable. One day, when Albie was passed out drunk,
"Be quiet and wait."
Chuck seized his chance. He took his grandfather's keys and crept upstairs to the forbidden room that had been locked away from him for so long. Before Chuck could see what was inside, Albie woke up and yelled at him to get away from the door. Albie looked inside the room himself and had a horrified reaction before quickly shutting the door and locking it again, his face pale with terror at whatever he had witnessed. Despite the trauma in his life, Chuck found joy in dancing. He joined a dance program called Twirlers and Spinners, where he quickly proved himself to be the most talented dancer in the class. The teacher, Ms. Rohrbacher, recognized his exceptional abilities and often paired him with the clumsier girls to help them improve. Chuck's most frequent dance partner was an older, taller girl named Kat McCoy, whom he developed a deep crush on.
Don't know that one.
He was by far the best dancer in the little club.
During one memorable class, Chuck impressed Kat by showing her how to moonwalk, demonstrating the smooth gliding steps with natural grace. Kat was so impressed that she invited him to be her partner at an upcoming school dance, though she made it clear it was just as friends since she already had a boyfriend. When Chuck expressed his interest in pursuing dancing seriously, Albie shut down his dreams immediately. The bitter old man insisted that Chuck should aspire to be an accountant instead, crushing the boy's artistic ambitions and pushing him toward a more conventional, practical career path. At the school dance, Chuck's insecurities got the better of him. He pretended to have a hurt leg so that he wouldn't have to feel embarrassed about dancing with Kat in front of everyone.
Kind of hurt my leg. You hurt your leg. Maybe let's...
Ms. Rohrbacher could tell he was making excuses and encouraged him to overcome his fears and just go for it. Finally gathering his courage, Chuck overcame his anxieties and went to dance with Kat in front of the entire school. Their performance was spectacular, earning enthusiastic cheers and applause from everyone watching, including other students like Marty and Felicia. Kat was so moved by Chuck's brave performance that she even kissed him after it was over. Later that night, Chuck went outside to the school field to dance by himself under the stars, lost in the joy of movement and music. While dancing alone, he accidentally cut his hand on the fence, leaving him with a permanent scar.
And in this moment, I am wonderful.
Years later, Chuck would lie to his wife Ginny about how he got the scar, telling her that Kat's boyfriend had confronted and hurt him. In reality, he was embarrassed about the simple accident that happened during his private moment of pure happiness. When Chuck was a teenager, Albie died of a heart attack, leaving the boy alone once again. His mother's parents came to stay with him at his grandparents' house until he was old enough to go off to college. Eventually, after collecting Albie's personal belongings and settling his affairs, Chuck finally gained access to the mysterious forbidden room. What he discovered inside changed everything. Chuck saw himself as an adult on his deathbed, a vision of his future death that explained Albie's supernatural abilities.
Albie had even seen himself, crumpled to the floor.
His grandfather had indeed been able to see the deaths of people before they occurred, including seeing both Sarah's death and Chuck's own future demise. This revelation explained why Albie had been so protective and why he had tried to shield Chuck from this terrible knowledge. Faced with the image of his own mortality, Chuck made a powerful decision. He told himself that the dying man he saw could not be him, and he vowed to live his life to the fullest despite knowing how it would end. He reminded himself of his teacher's words that he contained multitudes, embracing the complexity and potential within himself. Years later, Chuck had become the accountant that Albie had insisted he should be.
Blue tie. His Samuel Windsor shoes are inexpensive but sturdy.
He lived an ordinary, unremarkable life, working in banking and keeping his head down. But fate had other plans for him on one particular day that would prove to be more significant than anyone could imagine. In the town square, a young woman named Taylor Frank set up her drums at her usual spot, hoping to make a few dollars if she was lucky. Taylor was a street performer, a busker who played music for passers-by and relied on their generosity to survive. On this same day, not far from Taylor's performance area, a young woman named Janice Halliday was dealing with her own troubles. She had just been dumped by her boyfriend via text message and was feeling devastated.
It was
Fucking bullshit.
fucking bullshit. She isn't in love.
Chuck was walking through the town square on what seemed like an ordinary day, returning from a banking conference with his briefcase in hand. As he passed by the area where Taylor was playing her drums, something magical happened. Taylor noticed Chuck walking by and started to play an upbeat tune with cowbell, the rhythm infectious and joyful. For reasons Chuck himself couldn't explain, the music spoke to something deep inside him. Without thinking, he put his suitcase down and began dancing to Taylor's music. The movement came naturally to him, as if all those years of suppressing his love for dance melted away in an instant. A crowd quickly gathered around them. Impressed by the spontaneous performance, Chuck's dancing was enthusiastic and joyful, drawing the attention of everyone in the square. He spotted Janice watching from the crowd and, caught up in the moment, invited her to join him in the dance. Although Janice was reluctant at first, still dealing with her recent breakup and feeling self-conscious, she eventually gave in to Chuck's infectious enthusiasm. She joined him in the impromptu dance performance, and together they put on an amazing show for the growing crowd of spectators. During the performance, Chuck appeared to have a brief headache, perhaps the first sign of the brain tumor that would eventually kill him.
It's okay. It's my glasses. My glasses.
But he quickly shook it off and got back into the dancing with even more energy. The crowd cheered and applauded their incredible performance, creating a moment of pure joy and connection. After the dance ended, Chuck and Janice joined Taylor and her friends as they packed up their equipment. Taylor, grateful for the unexpected boost to her earnings from the crowd they had drawn, split her day's earnings with both Chuck and Janice. She asked Chuck what had made him start dancing when he saw her playing, and he honestly admitted that he didn't know what had compelled him. Impressed by their natural chemistry and performance abilities, Taylor suggested that Chuck and Janice should join her to form a traveling performing act.
Just one of my headaches. Oh, no. Come on.
However, both Chuck and Janice declined the offer and eventually parted ways with Taylor. Chuck and Janice walked together for a while, sharing conversation and getting to know each other, before they too went their separate ways. As Chuck walked past the spot where Taylor had been playing, he continued to ponder the mystery of why he had stopped to dance for her. What force had compelled him to abandon his reserved, professional demeanor and embrace the joy of movement? As Chuck disappeared into the night, the narrator revealed the tragic truth that lay ahead. Chuck would eventually lose his ability to walk and speak, and would even forget his wife's name as his brain tumor progressed and destroyed his mind.
Later, he'll forget his wife's name.
The supernatural connection between Chuck's life and the fabric of reality itself became apparent in his final days. Chuck lay dying in a hospital room next to his wife Ginny and son Brian, his brain tumor finally claiming his life after 39 years of existence that had somehow become intertwined with the world's survival. As Chuck's condition worsened, reality began to break down around the globe. The apocalyptic events that opened this story were now unfolding in real time, but through the eyes of ordinary people trying to make sense of the impossible. Teacher Marty Anderson was in his classroom when students started seeing news reports of earthquakes on their phones.
What is it? Clearly something more interesting than Whitman.
Moments later, the internet vanished completely from the classroom and the rest of the world. Marty had to deal with frustrated parents, including one father who was lamenting both his wife leaving him and the fact that even Pornhub was down, showing how the crisis affected everyone differently. Disasters began plaguing other parts of the world as the mysterious "Thanks Chuck" messages appeared everywhere. Marty and others started noticing billboards and advertisements thanking Chuck for his 39 great years, though no one understood who this Chuck person was or why he was being thanked. Marty's ex-wife Felicia Gordon, working as a nurse, overheard radio ads thanking Chuck.
And also about the fires in the Midwest. Speaking of water scarcity, back after this break.
She called Marty to discuss the growing possibility that they were witnessing the end of days. After they hung up, more ads thanking Chuck appeared on Marty's television, the messages becoming more frequent and impossible to ignore. Marty learned from his neighbor Gus Wilfong that a massive sinkhole had opened up in their town, making travel difficult and dangerous. Gus became emotional as he discussed his belief that the apocalypse was upon them. Both men noticed that other people were also seeing the Chuck advertisements everywhere they looked. Looking up at the sky, Marty and Gus witnessed airplanes writing, "Thanks Chuck," in the clouds above them.
Varieties of shit. It's just so much shit. It happened fast.
At the hospital where Felicia worked, she and her co-worker Bree discovered numerous empty hospital beds, but the monitors they were connected to showed active lifelines, as if invisible patients were still occupying them. When phone service went out completely, Marty went for a walk and encountered an undertaker named Sam Yarbrough. As they walked together toward Felicia's neighborhood, Sam shared philosophical observations about time and mortality. He told Marty that there aren't actually 24 hours in a day, but 23 hours and 56 minutes. He also expressed his belief that while people hadn't respected their planet, whatever was happening was related to something much bigger than environmental destruction. As darkness fell, Marty got closer to Felicia's home and ran into a young girl named Lily, who was trying to skate until all the street lights suddenly blacked out across the city. Images of Chuck began appearing on the windows of buildings everywhere, his face materializing as if projected by some supernatural force. Marty ran to Felicia's house as they both accepted that everything was about to end soon. The world was shutting down systematically, and there was nothing anyone could do to stop it. As reality collapsed around them, Marty reaffirmed his love to Felicia in what they knew might be their final moments together.
I think it's almost.
In the hospital room, Chuck finally succumbed to his brain tumor, taking his last breath as his wife and son watched helplessly. At the exact moment of his death, everything suddenly went black across the entire planet. Chuck Krantz had indeed contained multitudes. His ordinary life as an accountant had somehow become the foundation that held reality together. His 39 years of existence, filled with loss, love, dancing, and simple human moments, had been mysteriously essential to the world's survival. When Chuck died, the universe died with him, proving that sometimes the most unremarkable people carry the most remarkable responsibilities. The dance in the town square. The lessons about containing multitudes, the visions in his grandfather's forbidden room, all of it had been leading to this moment when one man's death would bring about the end of everything. Chuck's life had been a constellation of moments that somehow held the cosmos together, and when his light finally went out, so did the light of the entire world.